You ever wake up in the morning and think, I really feel like punching a kitten in the face? You ever feel like that? Reading this article makes me feel like that. Actually, no, I wouldn't punch a kitten. That's totally immoral. And this does make me want to build, a massive toxic spewing factory just to piss this person off. That's what it makes me want to do. You'll see why. No climate action can't be separated from social justice, says Julian Brave Noisecat. That's right, his name is Julian Brave Noisecat. Is this the kind of person you want to listen to? Someone called Julian Brave Noisecat. Now, unless he's a YouTuber or something, because we all have silly names, I'm not sure. But is this person a legitimate human being that's called Julian Brave Noisecat? He's a brave noise cat. He's a cat that makes noise, and he is brave in the way he does it. Let's have a look at what he has to say. Elites who divorced climate policy from social justice are almost as out of touch as those who deny climate science altogether. Of course. Because, why did you say that? Because you had to say something. If you set aside Republicans' obsession with cow whatevers, perhaps the most prevalent criticism of the Green New Deal is its emphasis on social justice. I think it's just lunacy, isn't it? Critics contend that the far-reaching climate agenda is far too concerned with extraneous issues such as jobs, infrastructure, housing, healthcare, and civil and indigenous rights. Stick to greenhouse gases, they say. Reforming the energy system is utopian enough. This criticism crosses the aisle among elites. In February, the New York Times editorial board wondered whether addressing the climate crisis was merely a cover for a wish list of progressive policies and not so subtle efforts to move the Democratic Party to the left. I would say so. Quite accurate. A day later, the Washington Post editorial board opined that serious policymakers should not muddle decarbonisation with social programs that divert money and attention from the primary mission. And in a widely circulated 11,000-word open letter to the Green New Dealers, Jerry Taylor, the president of the Niskanen Center, a pro-market environmental group, was incredulous. The Green New Deal resolution quite literally gives a nod to every single last policy demand forwarded by the Democratic Socialists of America, he wrote. The climate is too important to be held hostage to political commitments. The general gist of all this: take your social justice agenda elsewhere, activists. It has no place in serious climate policy. Absolutely fucking correct. Because this whole climate change nonsense that's going on recently, I'm talking about with all the sun spout of protests that have just come from nowhere, and all this talk about it, is as all you've seen is like it's trying to push socialism, like literally. Socialism is the answer to everything. I've seen stuff, that's all it is. And you go, all right, okay. Well, you're not going to win me over with that bullshit. An existential crisis is an existential crisis. The crisis of humanity is not political. It is a human one, all right? You fucking nut jobs. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, says Brave Cat. Social justice concerns are always entwined with public policy and absolutely central to climate policy. Experts agree that we must quickly deploy vast resources to mitigate and adapt to global warming. If the United States aims to shift to 100% clean and renewable energy, can it? We will need to build solar and wind farms across the country along with a national grid to connect them. Such a transformative investment could create a boom in jobs. How? Explain to me how. But who would those jobs go to? Where would we build all this new green infrastructure, and who should own it? Which communities get energy first? How do we keep it affordable? And that's just the energy sector. To decarbonise our economy, we must make equally challenging choices across many other sectors: transportation, agriculture, buildings, manufacturing. In the vast and tangled web of society-wide choices, questions of social justice are everywhere. Are they? What? Up until now, legislators have mostly made these decisions in ways that harm communities of colour. Here we go. This is in The Guardian, by the way. So I'm assuming this person is American, but they're still using the Americanized way of writing colour. We use a U. This is a British publication. And you've allowed this to happen? I'm disgusted. Working families and the poor. That's right. We build much of our polluting infrastructure, power plants, industrial sites, highways and waste facilities in these communities. Right, okay. I hate to explain it to you how this works, but like, if you build like a housing estate, if there's houses next to like a landfill site that stinks and there's loads of birds there, Well, you're not going to charge as much to live there as you are somewhere that isn't next to something that stinks. That's kind of how it works. It's called value for money. Like if you have a house right next to a train track, and you get trains whizzing past all night long, you're going to want to, it's a gift and a curse. It's like, well, the rent is cheaper, but I'm going to have to put up with this. It's up to you, isn't it, really? It's kind of up to you. All right, they don't deliberately just build stuff. Go, there's poor people over there. Let's build something crap next to them. No, it just reduces the house prices, doesn't it? That's how it works. Do you understand that? But no, it's something that evil corporations just like to punish people for being poor, isn't it? That's what it is. We build much of our polluting... As a consequence, African Americans are nearly 3 times more likely to die from asthma-related causes than white people. Nearly half of Latinos live in countries where air quality does not meet EPA clean air standards. Nearly half of Latinos live in counties. I thought I said countries. Indigenous communities like the Navajo Nation live with the residual effects of uranium pollution in their water, exposing as many as 54,000 Navajos to harm, and that's just one tribe. At the same time, the climate crisis is a driver of injustice, widening the gap between the haves and have-nots. Communities of colour number among the most vulnerable to the impacts of climate change because they live in areas of higher risk of wildfires and flooding. Often without basic economic protections like insurance. This is all very, very sort of hearsay, isn't it? It's all kind of like, yeah, I mean, they don't have insurance. Need some hard data, please. In New Orleans, Hurricane Katrina displaced 75,000 African Americans and hollowed out the city's black middle class, which has never recovered. Today, the city's black population is smaller and poorer. I think Hurricane Katrina didn't just affect, like, all the black areas, you get me? It didn't just choose. I know that, like, it's sort of the way he's saying it is as if that's what happened. Today's city's black population is smaller and poorer. Similar dynamics are at play in Houston, where a year after Hurricane Harvey, the poorest communities, primarily Latino and black, have been the slowest to recover. Well, what's the reasons for that? Can you give me some explanations? All of this should have major implications for how we write and implement policy. The Green New Deal, which envisions a society where people have universal access to energy, jobs, healthcare and housing, is a call for renewed commitment to the equal distribution of opportunity and justice, fundamental tenets of the social contract that have languished for far too long. It's about investing in communities polluted and left behind by the fossil fuel economy, because these are the places with the highest levels of toxicity to clean up, but also because this is the right thing to do. That's right. When the whole world heats up and it starts to flood, it's the poorer areas that are going to die first, because that's how it works. Go on into this. For all the naysayers and hand-wringing, it appears that social justice has found a home in climate policy, at least with some. Last week, Elizabeth Warren unveiled a $2 trillion green manufacturing platform that included explicit commitments to unions and communities of colour. The same day, Joe Biden previously noted for the Green New Deal skepticism did an about-face putting on the platform that cited the Green New Deal resolution and included an entire section dedicated to environmental justice. That's right, it's environmental justice. I can't be bothered to read any more of that. Public opinion, too, is shifting in favour of policies that link climate action with social justice. Brilliant. That's exactly what everyone wanted. That's going to get, like the half the world is split into 2 tribes at the moment of left and right. One hates social justice, the other one only a little bit likes social justice. And environmental climate change is a threat to all of us. And the best way you think to get them on board is to put in something as toxic as social justice. This is why you lose. This is why you're losing. Do you not understand? This is why a TV presenter, a TV presenter, this is why the star of The Apprentice is your president. Do you not understand that? Have you ever worked out that it might be you? Anyway, and in the new polling data for Progress, a left-leaning think tank where I work, well, of course it is, finds robust support for the Green New Deal nationally. Well, of course, that's your job, is to find data that suits what you're trying to say. My goodness, you say that as if we're going to go, oh really? You're in that. Oh really? What, you compile data that suits your left-leaning ways? Wow. Including support for policies that prioritise social justice investment in communities of colour. Please stop calling it communities of colour. It's just, it's a term that really throws people off these days. Yet some pundits and politicians, like the New York governor, Andrew Cuomo, who is working behind the scenes to remove economic justice provisions from the state's new Climate and Community Protection Act, are still trying to reject this reality, surveying a landscape of environmental racism and intransigent inequality. One wonders if opinion leaders and policymakers with the privilege not to think about these problems are looking at anything other than old theories, bad data, and one another. Then suggest that non-elites experience policy through their daily lives, their monthly energy bill, their paycheck, and the quality of their neighbourhood, not through the concentration of carbon in the atmosphere or share of renewable on the grid. Elites who divorce climate policy from social justice and the people it is meant to help are almost out of touch with those who deny climate science altogether. Well done for trying to push forward socialist policies by comparing people that think social justice has no place in an existential crisis of humanity, along with right-wing loonies who deny climate change. Well done for that. You've really won this battle. That's what I'm saying. That kind of, just reading all of that is just like, let me see how many NPC talking points I can just ram into one article. All the stuff that puts people off stuff you've just thrown out there. Like I said, I just want to fucking move to China and build a factory and get rich and watch the world burn because of you. More people are going to want the world to burn now because of you. So congratulations.